And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built that system, how the automation scrapes LinkedIn jobs, connects to Apollo, and then uses AI to think like a literal human researcher. You can see it starting to run. We should now see more jobs popping up automatic, quick, 70, 80 jobs added to the CRM. Looking for these titles: HR, recruiting, sourcing, talent. And I go ahead and run this. It should now bring me back everybody who works at this company with those titles. We've officially scraped Apollo for the first time. You can see it's bringing me back all these different people who work at these positions. We got Tori, we got her job title. We got Ahmed. He's a strategic sourcing specialist. In seconds, we literally brought back all these different people that work at this company who are now working in HR, working in recruiting, working in talent sourcing. Tori was added, and the rest of those leads are now being added into the database. But for those who really want to find out the best way to get people to respond to a cold email, respond to a cold call, you need to be able to come to the table with some research. We want to be able to personalize emails so people can see it's coming from a human, that we're actually putting in the care that's needed. And now you can see we have a ton of information here. We know his role, we know his psychological and communication profile, how he makes decisions. We know his cognitive style. We know he's structured, measured, pragmatic. But this is insane for a cold email campaign to be able to have this much information, and not just for him. We're gonna do the same thing for everybody on autopilot. What's good, y'all? You already know who it is. It's Sir Life Hacker. Best way for me to get into this video is to just tell a super quick story about a client I was recently working with. And Ethan Warner, my dog, he runs a boutique staffing agency out of Texas where they basically staff construction superintendents, high-level construction roles. And he's not really your typical recruiter, though. He's really part strategist and part AI enthusiast that's obsessed with finding smarter, faster ways to connect elite talent, elite construction talent to companies. He even hired a full sales team to do cold outreach for him. Like, the guy is clearly bossing up. But lately, a lot of the magic that was first there when he started the company is kind of starting to fade. So every night, Ethan would have to open up his laptop. Instead of spending time with his loved ones, his family, he would have to create these lead lists for his sales team just so they could focus on selling. So the majority of their day wasn't focused on finding people's emails, finding the right people to contact. Ethan was like, no, I'll do it for y'all. I'll put in the hours to make sure when you get to work, all you're doing is dialing or emailing. Ethan would spend countless, endless hours each day going on LinkedIn, scrolling through dozens of job posts, and then using a Chrome extension to find the hiring manager only if they were even mentioned the job post. A lot of times, some jobs don't even mention a hiring manager. Like, you can see this is a typical LinkedIn search for something he would search for, construction superintendents. And you can see, meet the hiring team. Okay, cool. So now he knows this is the right person to go after and contact to say, hey, we have plenty of superintendents to help you as a staffing agency. But a lot of jobs, like this one, there is no hiring manager. So Ethan could really start to feel that the best opportunities were kind of slipping away because he just couldn't find that many job posts and hiring managers on his own. Before, you guys have seen it, 100+ people started applying for these jobs and they just get flooded. His lead generation had quickly turned into a race against time, a race that Ethan was losing badly. God brought him over, and he ran across one of my YouTube videos where I talked about how AI automations could basically be used to bend the rules of time to go after leads earlier in the sales cycle, quicker than your competitors. And so by watching my videos, he really realized that he didn't need a bunch of VAs, doing the lead gen for him. He really just needed a smarter AI-based system. That way he could save money and he didn't have to, pay dozens of VAs to try to kind of live on LinkedIn and see new jobs when they popped up. All he needed was a smarter AI-based system that could do it for him. He scheduled a call with me, and what I built for him was a series of different automations. The first one, this LinkedIn job scraper, could basically scrape LinkedIn 24/7 to see whenever new jobs are being posted every single hour of the day. After that, once the LinkedIn job was scraped, we then connected to Apollo's API to then add in the organization, and then from there, search who the hiring managers were, search who the decision makers were at that company, all automatically, filter to find the best people, and then also enrich that lead information. Find that contact information, find that email, sometimes find that phone number, then URL, etc., and then add it all back into his CRM and database that I convinced him to use in Notion. And so you might be thinking, oh, wow, that's pretty impressive already. But I like to take it a step further. Once the leads are all in the CRM, I then built him this last LinkedIn lead deep research automation that basically pulls in all the leads from his database and then uses an AI agent to basically deep research every single one based on their LinkedIn profile. Today, I'm gonna show y'all how we can think like scientists to be able to really close leads faster. Because at the end of the day, you can easily use AI to predict people's behaviors, tendencies, personality. And that's how we can get more people on calls, more people answering emails, because we have to show them that we care by showing them that we did the research. And so within minutes, Ethan now doesn't just have a list of names. He now has a playbook for how to get every single person on a call. And so instead of chasing job posts weeks late, like everybody else, seeing 100+ people already applied, he's now in the inbox of the hiring manager the same day, the same hour that the role goes live. And so if you want to get this full series of automations, the LinkedIn job scraper, the Apollo people search, and the lead deep researcher, you already know what to do. All you got to do, join my school community. Everything will be in this Sales Master classroom section where you can get the full automation. You can also feel free to DM me if you have any questions. We have over 300 people in here all around the world who are sharing their experiences, learning AI. So pull up. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into building these automations. I'm not trying to waste no more time. First things first, load up N8N. I use N8N Cloud. Go to create workflow. And here we are in the main canvas to start creating. Go ahead and get an HTTP request node so we can do an API call. We're going to do an API call so that we can scrape a LinkedIn. And so for this, you might think, how are we going to do that? Do we need to go straight to LinkedIn? All we're going to do for this is use my favorite website, which is Appify. Appify is just a scraper aggregator that has a bunch of different type of scrapers that people have already created. So you don't need to create one yourself. You can see Google Maps, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They pretty much have one for almost any website. For us, obviously, we're looking for LinkedIn jobs. Let me specify that in the search. This is my favorite one right here. You can see 35 cents for 1,000 results. That's insane pricing. So this is the actual scraper. Now, how do we use it? First, go to try for free. This will bring you into the Appify console. And once we're in the Appify console, it'll give us all the instructions we need to actually run this. So first and foremost, we need to fill in the URL that it's asking for here. To find that, you just go back to the console, go to API, to this drop down, API endpoints, and then we're going to find the exact URL that we need that's going to run the scraper, but also get the data set items. So we're just literally going to copy this. You can see it says post to, bring this back into N8N. That's the URL that we're using. And you can see here how it says token equals this. So Appify is basically embedding their API key for the scraper inside of that URL. So basically, if I let you download this automation, I didn't change this, you would be using my API key. So I'm going to take this out, but you now know how you can replace it. Literally just copy it and it'll bring your API key in on its own. But change this to post like it said. And now, of course, we actually need to send a body, the request of what we want the scraper to scrape. So I'm going to change this to using JSON. Now I come back in here and it's like, all right, bet. Here are the start URLs. What's the start URL? If I go to this LinkedIn URL here, you can see it's literally just somebody searching data scientists in a specific location and then just copying that same URL. So you can put in any filters you want and then copy that same URL and it's going to scrape every single one of the jobs. You can see this one only had 57, but I know for a fact that he wanted to do superintendent jobs within construction and he definitely wanted it to be in Texas. So now if I narrow that down, you can see it brought it down to 521 results. And I'm going to leave everything else the same, but you can obviously change salary, filtering, company, experience level, if it's remote or not, etc. You can even go to all filters, go crazy. All you have to do is just take this URL back into Appify, which is what we're going to do. You can see I Put that in there. This Apify scraper is unique because you can do either just a URL straight up, or you can search based on keywords. Like that person scraped based on the keyword software engineer. I don't want to do that. I want more control. I only want you to search the link that I gave you. So I'm going to delete that. And actually we'll change this publish that to last 7 days. I always look at every single setting just to see what is inside of here. We don't need to worry about this. Gonna close these. Now if I go back to JSON, you can see this is the same URL that I just put in there from LinkedIn. So this JSON updates dynamically based on what you put in inside of here. And we know N8N is asking us for a JSON body to put. You looking right at it. So now we go ahead, copy this, press this button here, go back to N8N, copy that in there. Easy work. I mean, difficulty level 6, 7. Now I come out of here. And if you ever want to change the URL that you're searching, all you have to do is change it right here. You don't have to go back in Apify. All you have to do is go into this HTTP request. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and change it. I know y'all like labels and stuff. I'm gonna change this to LinkedIn job scraper. And so now if I literally just run this, let's see what happens. And if you want to see what's going on behind the scenes of the scraper, you can actually go back to Apify. And if you go to runs, you can see it's currently crawling all these different pages that we're looking for. And it's going to even show you how much it's costing to do it. So this is literally costing me right now less than 50 cents, which is crazy. And so you can see here, it finished doing the scraping and it brought back 999 results. And so you can see from this table view, all the different things it brought back. Construction manager from College Station, posted 5 days ago. It has a job URL. It has when the job was published. It has the company name, the company URL, the full job description, really everything you need, to be honest. You can see this one is an internship. So filtering wise, we would need to change that to only be full-time jobs. But other than that, you can see this one was mid-senior level. This one was mid-senior level, etc. So this has brought us back everything that we need. So now, obviously, we don't just want to keep it in N8N. We want to put it inside of a database so we can further build automations on top of this. If you notice, job descriptions can be super long, like super, super long. And Notion, which I plan to use as a CRM, has a 2,000 character limit. So what I want to do is actually just generate a preview of this job description. So I'm just going to add a quick code node. I talk about these code nodes all the time. You always be like, oh my God, do I need to know how to code? Do I need to know JavaScript? My brother, we vibe coders over here. That's all we know. So all I got to do is go here, code in JavaScript, and I'm going to paste in this code that I already had. And basically all this is doing is just trimming the long text, the job description, to 1,500 characters. That's all it's doing. And then just basically creating a shortening preview. Super, super simple. Super, super simple. Then I'm going to find the Notion node, create a database page. Database pages in Notion are just rows like they would be in Google Sheets or Excel. I already have my Notion credential connected, but for you, if you wanted to do it, all you got to do, go to create new credential. It's asking for that internal integration secret. Y'all know, if they start talking about secrets, it's time to lock in. All you got to do to find that, though, go back to Notion, go to your left sidebar, scroll all the way down until you see settings. Then you're going to go to connections and you're going to go to develop or manage integrations. Then once we get here, you see I already have a bunch of these, but what you're going to want to do, create a new integration. You can add any name here. The associated workspace is whatever workspace in Notion you're working with. You can leave the type as internal. And then for logo, you can just upload any picture there. It won't really be shown anywhere, to be honest. Once you create that, then you'll be able to have this configuration screen, internal integration secret. Easy work. Go to show. Connecting APIs and being a developer really is just a matter of following directions, to be honest, and knowing where to go. Once I have that integration all connected, Notion all locked up, you're going to want to go into Notion. And whatever database you're choosing to use, this is the one I'm using. You're going to want to go to the 3 dots, go to connections, add connection, and then find whatever connection you just created. So for me, you can see Lucid Group sales database is right here. And actually what I want to do too, this is a crazy amount of 1,000 just casually. I'm not about to just drop that in for a test. I'm going to go ahead and rerun this scraper. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter it way more so that we can get less results for the test. I'm going to change the experience level to mid-senior level. I'm going to change the salary to 100 bands plus, because if you're not paying 100 bands, you ain't talking to your mans. I can do that. I can do that. And I'm going to copy this URL in here. I'll take this back into N8N. You can see that node used to be blue. That just makes it stick there. So if you refresh, if you leave the screen, all those results will stay there. Obviously, you saw that costed money. You don't want that just to be running over and over if you need a new node in the automation. So that's why pinning is great. Perfect. We only got 75 items that time, much more manageable number. Run this code node. Now you can see that was super quick. It just ran through 75 of these. Automation is nuts. Now, rather than just having the job description, I now have this job description preview. Now I'm ready to add this into my CRM. Literally just scraped LinkedIn in minutes. Imagine having to go through 75 items on your own. That would take you the next 3 hours. Now I'm about to add it into my CRM. If you don't have a database yet, obviously you're creating this from scratch. You're going to want to create a new database that has all the columns you want to take from the LinkedIn scraper. It's giving job title, location, salary, when it was published, the job description, etc. Go into Notion and create columns for the job title, for location, for salary, etc. Now, if I go to add property, it's going to show me all the columns that I have inside of Notion. You can see company, LinkedIn URL, company name, job description. All I'm going to do now is just map the results from the LinkedIn scraper to my Notion columns so it goes in dynamically. You can see I literally just mapped all those just by plugging and playing. This is the beauty of no code. This stuff usually would take so much lines of code. It's actually insane. You can see some of these have ignore if empty. Notion is very big on not having empty rows. Not all jobs will state who posted the job. So sometimes this will be empty. So you want to mark this as ignore if it's empty. Otherwise, Notion and the whole automation will stop and give you an error. We need to do for that is to basically account for if any of the names don't show up. And all we want to do for that is basically just generate some type of response so it's not just empty for Notion. So all we're going to do for that, I'm just coming in here and I'm typing these 2 lines, which basically says, if it's not poster name, then I want you to type unknown. Now it'll give Notion some type of value versus just being empty. Any of these values that you anticipate might not be there. Salary may not be there. Some jobs don't post a salary, etc. So now we're ready to run this. If I go ahead and press play on this to run it, you can see it starting to run. If I go back in the database, we should now see, like you see, more jobs popping up automatically. You can see some of these have the same company name. That's just because the same company is hiring for multiple jobs. This is the beauty of N8N. Now Ethan doesn't have to scroll through anymore. He can just have everything right here in his database ready to rock. Quick 70, 80 jobs added to the CRM. Obviously, y'all already know how much time this would take if you had to do this manually. You don't want to have to scroll LinkedIn. You want to be able to see, okay, here's the salary of the job. Here's when it was posted. Here's the description. And we can get right into it. So this is just an amazing way to be able to scrape jobs, get a look at who's hiring for what in a way more organized way. This first part is done. Add a sticky note in here just to label what it is. This is the full LinkedIn jobs scraper. I'm going to go ahead and add the scraper link in here because obviously I'm about to give this away to y'all. We're going to be in the school community. We just completely scraped LinkedIn easily and got all those jobs inside of our database. But some of these poster names are unknown. We want to be able to see the full list of who the people were that posted these jobs. We want to find the decision makers. That's the next step. For that, we can do it all in this same canvas. So to be able to find the decision makers and their contact info, I'm going to be using Apollo. If you don't know about Apollo, it's an amazing tool. This is the manual way of using Apollo. If you come in here to people search, you can search any company based on any of these filters to find people. So you can search people based on job titles, based on a lookalike of somebody. Like if you already are working with a client, a CEO or something, you can put them straight in here and it'll literally give you people that look similar to that person, which is crazy. So our goal is to basically be able to put companies in here and say, based on this company, find me people that work there. And obviously we don't want to have to manually do this. So we're going to use their API. Once you're inside of Apollo, inside of their kind of like home screen area, you're going to go to the left sidebar, go to your name, down here, your profile, No, don't do that. Never mind. I'm over here just saying whatever. Go to admin settings, go to integrations, and then you're going to scroll down until you see the API. If y'all don't learn anything else from watching my channel, just know that APIs are literally a gold mine in every possible way. There's a search API and an enrichment API. For the first part, we're going to do a search to just search and find people based on the company that they work at. Real simple. And so obviously you're probably like, how do I work with this API? How do I connect it to N8N? I'm not a pro coder by any means. I didn't major in computer science in college, but I became an expert at reading documentation. Apollo is a bit weird because you need to actually find an organization ID to then put that organization back in Apollo and say, now find me people that work there. We're going to go to organization search. For us, we want to find specific organizations based on the name, because then that way we can get the organization ID. And that organization ID is important because in people search, you can actually find people in Apollo. You can't just put a name of a company in and be like, show me who works there. No, based on their query parameters, you have to use the organization ID. Let's go ahead and get into the organization search. All I'm going to do here, search for another HTTP request. It's post for the method, and then got too many Apollo tabs open. Everything look the same in this motherfucker. And then this is the URL, api.apollo, mixed company search, etc. For the body, now once again, we need to figure out what to put in here. If I'm you, I'm going to this. You can see this is my Go Full Page Chrome extension that takes a screenshot of the full page. If I'm you, I'm taking this full screenshot, I'm putting in the ChatGPT, and I'm saying, based on the query parameters, based on what they identify as how you need to search their API, tell me how I need to write the body of the JSON request, etc. That's what I'm doing if I'm you, but I'm not you. So for me, I'm just going to come over here and copy what I had before for this. This is basically how we're going to do the searching for the company ID. You can see we're adding in the organization name dynamically. We need to authenticate. We need to add an API key in here. Otherwise, we can't run anything. So this is the format of the header. To put this as the name, and then the value is just your API key. So for me, and then to find your API key, you want to go back to integrations, go to this API again, press connect, go back to that screen, which will bring you back here, API keys, create new key. This is important. Under APIs, you want to basically enable everything you're using here. So for us, we're using the mixed people search. We're using the organization search. We're going to use enrich, etc. So you want to check off all of those when you go ahead and do it. I already have my API key, so I'm not going to do that. But just to let you know how you can do it. So I'm going to enter my API key in here. I don't care if y'all see this. I'm just going to deactivate it. You know, y'all favorite thing is to steal somebody's API key and just be running up somebody's credits. I need to actually be able to feed that node the name of the companies that we're hiring. So I also need to add in a Notion node that will get the database pages we just created. I'm coming up here. I'm grabbing the same database we were just in, which is this sales database type beat. I got them in wrong order and shit. I'm over here tripping. It's because it's hot. I'm in Arizona. It's like 100 degrees. Now I have all these connected. You can see it brought back 50 items. That's because I set the limit in Notion to 50. Add in a loop node here that will do exactly what it says, split in batches. If we run this, you can see one item pass through there out of the 50. That's exactly what we want. But it's now officially going to pass through this company, STL Building Group. I'm also going to retitle this just so y'all can see what's going on. This is the Apollo organization search. And if I run this, it should now search for everything about the organization. You can see now this came back successful with one result with all the different information on that STL Building Group company. So we've officially scraped Apollo for the first time. If I minimize this, now it gets into what we want. One, the organization ID. So now we have that crazy ass cryptic code that we can use to search and find people. We have also the name of the company, obviously, the website URL, the LinkedIn URL, the Twitter URL, Facebook URL, the number just to call the company, etc. So we still get a ton of information here, including a bunch of keywords that actually describe the company too. Now that we have the organization ID, We can go ahead and add another API call and do a people search. We're adding in the same things here in the header for security reasons, top flight security of the world type shit. And then of course for the body, we want to include the organization ID. We also want to search based on certain titles. He wants to find hiring managers, people that are kind of corresponding with the positions that he's looking for. So for him, this looks like this. The only way that I was able to understand how to like write the curly brackets and everything in this, format with the commas and the quotes, literally doing what I showed you before. Full page screenshot here, send this to GPT and ask it how to write that body for you. It'll show you how to format it exactly how you need. So you can see here, all I'm doing is adding in the organization ID that was brought in back here, as well as the organization domain, their website, which makes it easier for them to identify which company I'm talking about. Looking for these titles: HR, recruiting, sourcing, talent, etc. And you can see here, I can now ask for the email. And in order to get phone, you have to actually add a webhook URL. So for now, I'm not going to add this in there. And if I pin this and I go ahead and run this, it should now bring me back everybody who works at this company with those titles. We're going to minimize breadcrumbs once again. You can see it's bringing me back all these different people who work at these positions based on my search query of the titles and the organization website and its ID. We got Tori, who's a recruiting manager. Email status is verified. Fire. We got her headline. We got her whole employment history. Everything, honestly. We got a bunch of information here. We got Tori. We got her job title. We got Ahmed. He's a strategic sourcing specialist. In seconds, we literally brought back all these different people that work at this company who are now working in HR, working in recruiting, working in talent sourcing, etc. But one thing you can notice is that for email, all of these emails say email not unlocked at domain. What's up with that? We actually need to do one more step to get the emails. We actually need to enrich. So like you saw before, there's a search API and there's an enrichment API. Now we're going to go to the enrichment API. Apollo don't play no games with their billing. They say, yeah, you can search all you want, but once you start getting emails, we need that back from you. We want to do another API request, and this one is also going to be post. You can see this endpoint does not return new email addresses. Use the people enrichment endpoints to enrich data. Say less. Now we go to people enrichment. Same thing as before. Taking this URL right here, keeping that at post headers. We already know what to do with this. I'm going to add my API key in here. And then for the body for this one, we want to find all the emails for all the people that are brought back. So there's 17 people that are brought back, but who's to say all these people are relevant to our actual job that we're trying to hire for? Who's to say that Tori Liberty, the recruiting manager, is the correct recruiting manager for what we're trying to do? So we want to actually add some filtering logic before we try to get the emails, because one, it takes credits. Imagine if one company has 1,000 people that work in HR, recruiting, etc. You don't want to have to find and waste credits on finding emails for all those people, especially if you're not going to reach out to all of them. So we add this code node in here that can do the filtering for us. This is where we get swaggy with it. All this is doing is taking the people from the Apollo search, finding the job location from the job that was scraped back from LinkedIn, and then it's giving weights. It's scoring each of the people that comes in from Apollo. Some titles aren't equal. Obviously, directors are more influential than an associate. So we want to make sure that we're giving them more points on the scale. Same thing with keywords. Same thing for location. Some of these companies, they're going to have recruiting managers that work in Florida, but the job was posted in California. So we want to make sure we're actually finding people who are in the same city as where the job location was, which is what this code is doing. Basically giving people more points if they're in the same city as the job location. So if we run all of this, you can see here after the people search, we got back 17 total people, 17 total after we run this filtering node. So you can see, brought back 5 people, the top 5 people that are most important to reach out to. We got Tori, she came back. She got a score of 13. We got Mark in here. He's a director, and we can see he got a 12 score. These people got 11. Easy work, but we still need their emails. So let's go ahead and grab that. Come back into this API request. The body for this one is basically just entering in the first name of the lead, the last name, their LinkedIn URL, their organization name. That's how we're basically searching Apollo for the person to give us the email. So we get obviously Tori Liberty, all of her information that we had before, and then we get what we really want, which is the email. Easy work. We've officially done everything we needed to in Apollo, and now we just got to add this back in our CRM so we can safely give our sales team the list of people to contact as well as their contact info. So for that, I'm literally just going back, adding a Notion node, and this time I'm doing create a database page. Just gonna leave that title the same, and then for add property, just like before, I'm gonna map all the columns that I created in my database. Now we have all these mapped up. So literally now we can get back to that magic shit. If I go ahead, press play on this and then go back to the sales database, you can see Tori was added and the rest of those leads are now being added into the database. So now Ethan is waking up and now seeing a full database of all the people to contact from those companies that are hiring. He's getting their first and last name. He's getting the company they work at, the email, which is obviously the most important thing. He's getting their job title. But for those who really want to find out the best way to get people to respond to a cold email, respond to a cold call, you need to be able to come to the table with some research. You need to be able to email Tori and say, hey, Tori, I know this, this, and that about you. Some of these things that people look for in emails to establish that rapport and trust. And so all of that can be found on somebody's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a gold mine for people displaying information and traits about themselves that we can use to shape our outreach. Like, for example, this person, Minky, crazy name. Love that, though. We can see he went to University of Massachusetts Amherst. Is that the MIT? I was about to say. Either way, though, we can see he got his bachelor's in mechanical engineering. We can even literally see he was a founder of the bouldering club. He was a RA. He was on the UAV team. This is crazy information to give. Like, you see how now with all this information, how reaching out to somebody, especially with AI, we can come up with a message that's much more compelling, much more personal than just, yo, I see you're hiring for this position. Tap in. That we're going to also send to 1,000 other people. We want to be able to personalize emails so people can see it's coming from a human, that we're actually putting in the care that's needed. Why am I saying all this? Like, where am I getting this from? All the things I'm about to talk about come from this book right here called Mind Masters, which talks about how you can basically use the data that people put out on their social platforms to predict their personality, predict their behavior. Just to see this in practice, look at these two lists right here. These are a lists of two different people's Facebook likes. If you just look at these two different lists, it could be pretty easy for you to tell me which person was an extrovert and which person was an introvert. All we're doing is that on a much bigger scale with somebody's LinkedIn profile. We're using AI and the power of its infinite intelligence to put together a psychological profile on somebody based on where they worked, based on what job positions they had, where they went to school, etc. Let's go ahead and get into the actual AI agent that does the research on each of these leads to figure out how to do the best outreach to them through email. Let's go ahead and get into creating this AI agent that's going to do all the research for you to give you the best cold email personalized for every single lead. We need to just pull the actual person we want to scrape from Notion. So for that, I'm going to be doing get many database pages, and I'm just plugging in the same Notion database we were in before with the leads. Obviously, I'll loop through those individually, which is what this next node will be right here. To have the AI agent do the analysis, we need to scrape the person's LinkedIn profile. So that's what this next API request is going to do. And you already know where we're at. We're back at our one and only, our favorite spot, the trap, Appify. And so for this, now all I'm trying to find is a LinkedIn profile scraper. We're going to use this LinkedIn scraper to find all the information from people's profile. You can see we're going to get occupation, headline, summary, job history, education, skills, languages, honors and certifications. We want to obviously change the person's LinkedIn profile URL here. And as you knew before, changing an Appify dynamically changes it here. If I come back here and just go straight to send the body and JSON, I'm going to add this in here. I'm coming back in Appify, and I obviously know I need to grab the URL, the endpoint. We don't just want to run the actor. We want to run the actor and get the data set item 2 at the same time. So I'm copying this one right here, going back in Appify, putting this in there. The API key is already set in there, so I'll need to change the header. And now let's go ahead and fix this profile URL problem. So now I'm going to move the trigger over here to this automation. I'm going to move all this over. It's way too close and shit. I'm going to connect this in here. Run these two real quick. This is just getting all the results, all the leads from that CRM, pinning this, and obviously it's only bringing in one item at a time. And so now if I go back in this API call, you're going to see all the rows we have here. Same rows that were in this database. We want to grab this LinkedIn URL. Go ahead, delete this URL they gave in between these quotes right here. You can see sometimes an N8N will just full on tweak and just put the JSON somewhere else. We want to make sure it's exactly where it needs to go, right here. Let's run it. So now if I run this, what should come back is the full LinkedIn scraped results from this person's profile. So now if I come in here, we can see the results. So we get their first name, last name, obviously. We get their headline on LinkedIn. We get the number of followers they have, their email, obviously, job title. Let's get to the more important stuff. So we see the top skills that people endorse them for: public speaking, leadership. So we can now already see the ammo the AI agent is going to be able to have to work with. How they worked in Virginia full time for this company for 3 years. So we can in the email be like, hey, we've seen you've been there for 3 years. This is giving us so much ammo we can use to personalize every email. And of course, we're not manually going to be doing the personalization. The AI is going to be doing it for us. So not only do we get all these experiences here, you can see they worked at this company as an HR coordinator back in 2020 to 2021. That's fire. Also get all their skills: customer service, Microsoft Word, etc. Putting Microsoft Word in one of your skills is crazy work, by the way. This person went to George Mason. They got their bachelor degree in government and international politics. So you can see just more ammo we can use now that we have this person's LinkedIn information to compile a psychological profile on this person that we use to personalize emails. So let's go ahead and create the actual AI agent that's going to do the magic for us. Add in AI agent. And I'm going to change this from connected chat trigger, because that's not the source for the prompt, to define below, because I'm going to be the one to define the prompt. And for this message, sometimes you can add a system message, but for me, I'm just going to leave it as a user message. We don't need to do both for this one. And I already came up with it through ChatGPT here. Basically, all I did was just ask it to write me a prompt for an AI agent that acts as a senior psychographic researcher. You can pause this. You can read it. I'm not about to go over every single line. That's what YouTube is for, my dog. Add all this in here. Go to expression so I can see it fully written out. I just want to double check, make sure nothing in here is weird. Yep, elite senior psychographic researcher. It's crazy because now you can basically hire whoever you want to your team in AI agent form. This person probably wouldn't even hire a senior psychographic researcher and strategic communication analyst. Like, what? You're not hiring that. Where you find that at? They're not going for anything less than 200K. But we can now create this for free in N8N with AI agent. It's insane work. We're defining what their expertise is, just the same way you would prompt GPT. We're just doing it here with this AI agent, giving it the objective, giving the public information scraped from the person's profile, produce the psychological and communication profile of the person. We need to actually plug in these outputs so it can see the actual information about the person. This is their full name. I'm going to drag this down here. I'm going to say this is their LinkedIn headline. Just going to drag this in here. I'm going to put in their job title. That's important. I'm going to put in their top skills by endorsement. That's important to know. Microsoft Word being in there is still insane. Also going to put in there the current location of where they work. So current job location, which for this person is in Virginia. I'm also going to add in there their most recent job title. I'm going to specify this to be the current job title. I'm going to make this one be the most recent job title. I'm just trying to include everything in here that's relevant without bloating it for real. I also want to make sure I add is Education, 1000%. Got to see where you went to school. That's a huge thing about your personality. This will show their speaking patterns. So now I can see how the person talks about other people, because that obviously talks a lot about what you think about yourself, how you speak, language patterns, etc. If we can mirror that, we can make a person like us more. So this is great. We like this actually. Now I have a bunch of information on this person that will loop for everybody else. It's going to go through every single one of, I think it was like 37 people, and automatically put their information in here too. You can see there's a red triangle here for a reason. This AI agent can't do nothing. It don't have no model, no tool, no memory, no nothing. How's it going to do any work? So that's why we need to add actually tools and models to it so it can do the analysis. So for the chat model, I'm going to go ahead and add OpenAI. We got GPT-5, let's rock. So I'm going to go GPT-5 for the chat model. Now I should just be able to run this chat model and it should work. You can see this ran successfully and it gave us this full psychological profile on this person. And obviously this looks crazy right now. There's these backslash n's, there's these curly brackets. We want to be able to split this up and be in a readable format so we can actually use this. But you can see it gave us a lot of great stuff: a personality summary, a communication style, example outreach hooks. This is research that if you were to do this for all 30, 50, 90, 200, 1,000 people, we're talking about literally not hours, days and weeks of work, because you can't even do this. This is an elite senior psychographic researcher doing this. So they would charge you, Lord knows what to do it, but we got AI to do it for us. So we already winning. Now we just need to get in the format where we can actually use it, read it, make it work for us. So what we're going to do is use a code node to basically parse, format it correctly. Go to code in JavaScript. Once again, my guys, y'all already know, GPT, vibe coder central. We don't write code, we just vibe it. So basically this code here allows you to take the output field from the AI agent, split it by the line breaks, and then return each chunk as a new item. Because like we know before from Notion, 2,000 characters is the limit. So if you even try to get 2,002 characters in there, automation breaks. That's why we add this code in here to basically do the formatting for us. So I'm going to add formatting as a label on that. Now we can go ahead and go to Notion. And this time we're going to do append a block. And this just allows us to, instead of adding something in a row, it allows us to go inside this side peak and add something in this full section right here, which is way easier to read, obviously, than something packed in this tight row. Let me make sure this code node is working. Now this reran and I repinned it, so now it doesn't run all over again. And it went from 1 item to 24 because this is what did the chunking. And I changed it from, instead of going from double line breaks to just a single line break. You can see this is the same backslash n we're adding in here to split it by. And you can now see all these different chunks that it has now outputted based off of that, 24 of them. So now if I go ahead and pin this so it doesn't run again, and the Notion database, choose it by ID, just go back in here, find your Notion ID. For the block that we want to add, this is still easy work. We change that to paragraph, and then we want to drag the chunk in here. Even though this is just a curly bracket, you can see there's 24 more items that are chunked in here. So just by adding that one thing in here, everything will add just how it's supposed to. Go ahead and press play on this. Go back to the database. We should see the first person now getting their full psychological profile added. You can see here, now we have something we can work with 1,000%. And it's still loading in here. I'm gonna wait till it's done. You can see it's literally giving sample subject lines. It's literally giving us cold outreach hooks. This is insane. This was all generated in seconds. We were just trying to scrape LinkedIn jobs a minute ago. We've done that, scraped all the information from Apollo too, and now we're getting a full psychological breakdown of each person. We're not playing the guess game anymore. And so this finally ran successfully. It added everything in here. And just so I can get the best look at everything, I'm gonna cut all this. I'm going to add a code block here. I'm gonna paste this in here. And I'm gonna change this to Markdown. And so that way, just color codes things a bit more, makes things a little bit more organized for me. I'm big on aesthetics. And now you can see we have a ton of information here. We know his role, we know his psychological and communication profile, how he makes decisions. We know his cognitive style. We know he's structured, measured, pragmatic. But this is insane for a cold email campaign to be able to have this much information, and not just for him. We're going to do the same thing for everybody on autopilot while we're going to sleep, while we're spending time with family, while we're chilling, living the rest of our lives. And all I have to do to be able to have this continue to work for every is literally just add that to the loop there, and it'll keep going through every single person. So this video opened my eyes, to be honest, because now I'm going to approach sales differently. It's no reason why any niche is not using LinkedIn jobs as at least a trigger, a signal for companies who need something. And then after I scrape the jobs in LinkedIn through Appify, I can just put all that information into Apollo to search where the organization is, find the people who are important that work there, the HR people, the recruiting people, etc. Everybody that we laid out all here, talent, operations, acquisition, staffing. Find those people, enrich the leads once again through Apollo, add them to my database. And then after that, I don't stop there. If me and somebody else are sending an email, the other person is just sending the same mass email to the same person. Me personally, I'm sending an email based on predicted motivators and personality drivers straight from that person's LinkedIn. So you can see why this full automation, these full AI agents, to give you not just an edge, but just a competitive advantage as a sales team and as an enterprise. So if you're down for building smarter systems to basically have your sales be way more effective, you're welcome.